Welcome to the RadioU Podcast. Coming up, Tinder has a new feature that's going to make dating twice as fun.
Also, move over, SpaceX. Honda has entered the chat.
All that and more on the way next. The Florida Panthers are your Stanley Cup champions once again. Sorry, Canada. 8772 Radio U. Last night, the Panthers cruised to a 5-1 victory. You might have expected it to be a closer game since it was, an elimination game. Stanley Cup final. The Oilers need to put up a real good effort to stay alive, and they couldn't do it. But the Panthers, they got out of the gates early. Sam Reinhart scored 4 goals in the game. 2 of them were empty nets. But the first goal that he scored to kick off the scoring was an unbelievable goal, like an all-timer Stanley Cup final goal.
Yeah, pretty impressive win by the Panthers to finish it out, to close out the series. And also an impressive, I just feel like, series in general. I think both of us kind of assumed, like last year's Stanley Cup Finals, this was going to go a long series. And so, I mean, it's still 6 games. That's still pretty long. But overall, pretty dominant performance, especially with the last 2 games by the Panthers.
Yeah. It is in a way amazing that it did go on this long, and it felt so competitive.
Yeah, at first.
At the same time, the Panthers got 2 of their wins, and one of the games that they lost, they had a 3-0 lead. So the Panthers had dominated a lot of the series, and when you add all the games up, there's 6 games, 60 minutes plus you include all the overtime, and the Oilers only led for 33 minutes the entire series, and they never led by more than a goal. That probably tells you why last night in the game they were just looking out of gas completely.
Yeah.
They were, because when you're just trying to protect a 1-goal lead, or when you're chasing all the time, that wears you out.
For sure.
Already after a super long season, and both of these teams going through where they played in 2 finals in a row now, that takes a toll on you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Nothing like the Stanley Cup playoffs to just wear you down. And the Panthers were healthier coming into the series, and you could tell going into last night, going through the final game last night, that they were fresher and they had more energy. And the Oilers felt like maybe they didn't have as much depth. And the way the Panthers play, they're just a bunch of junkyard dogs. They're just all over you.
Yeah.
Slobbering and knocking you around. And it takes a toll on you when you're the Oilers.
Yeah, I think we talked about that with the last game, is just they play with some type of toughness that is just, it's honestly, it's better than any other team right now, obviously. If they're winning the Stanley Cup 2 years in a row, that's a very impressive feat. So, yeah, congrats to the Panthers. I'm sure Florida is celebrating this big win.
Yeah, just like they were this time last year.
Right.
They get to do it all over again, and then you look forward, and, it's hockey typically doesn't feel like the NBA, or the NFL sometimes too, where it's like once a team wins, it feels like they're going to be back over and over again. It's like, who's going to stop them?
Right.
But the Panthers, they've already done it twice, which has happened now. 3 different teams have won twice in a row in the past 10 years, I think. So it's been more of a trend in hockey. And it doesn't look like anything's going to be stopping the Panthers unless a bunch of their free agents decide to walk away. But they all seem to love it so much there, and there's no state tax and whatever. Like, I feel like there's no breaking up this team. They're just going to keep coming back.
Yeah, I know I've seen a lot of different rumors as far as what will happen with this team moving forward. But I would agree. I don't think there's any reason to think they're slowing down.
Yeah, but you always have to be careful saying that, because everybody would have said that last year with the Celtics, and now they may with their core in it's the NBA, different, but in a sport where it feels like it's even more likely to come back and back and back. We've had so many different champions in the NBA.
Yeah.
Maybe the tides are just shifting, and the NBA is going to be a different champion every year, and the NHL is just going to be the Panthers and Oilers playing each other every year in the final.
I mean, I hope it's not that. I feel like hockey needs to have parity. Every sport needs to have it. So I hope it's not that, but I agree. I feel like we say this now, but also so many people said the same thing about the Blackhawks when they were doing their big run. So you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and it's just so hot. Like, again, you add all these extra games on, and hockey is so taxing on your body that I do feel like eventually that has to catch up to you and
And
wear
the
you down.
Olympics are coming.
Yeah, so all bets are off next year, but congratulations to the Panthers doing it again. Well deserved.
Yes.
Somebody mentioned in the speeches last night, and it was true. Everybody picked against them, even though they were in every round, even though they're defending champs.
Yeah.
Who's that person in your life where people might not say it out loud in so many words, but you can tell, like, your parents are thinking, why can't you be more like your brother? You know, that old classic.
That is a classic statement. I was never given that statement.
No,
though.
I mean, I had good parents, and I was better than all my brothers.
Oh,
so yeah, yeah. So maybe they were thinking that about my other. But everybody has this. I feel like it's almost less common for you to hear other people say it, but for you to tell yourself that.
Yeah, for you to think it.
Where it's not your brother, maybe it is your brother, but it's like, why can't I be more like look at that person on Instagram and they're doing so much more than me. I know I do it. It's a ridiculous thing. Like, you see other people, it looks like they're having all the success, or they're just so happy or whatever, or they're just living better than you. Like, they just know how to do it better than you. And you're just like, why can't I be more like that person?
Comparison, man.
Yeah. And it's ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I want to let you know, a person that will never tell you that, make you feel that way, it's not really a person. It's God. Jesus is not comparing you to other people, and he's sure not going to tell you, hey, why don't you be more like that guy over there?
Right.
Why aren't you living your life the way he is? Because God loves you so much the way you are. He doesn't want you to be somebody else. And God knows that each of us are flawed. And so even if Brad over there on Instagram looks like he's got it all going great, there's stuff about Brad that's probably not so great either that he's just not posting out. And so God's not going to compare you to others. God wants you to know that you're loved where you are and how you are today.
Absolutely. And God also encourages us not to compare. You know, in the Bible, the example that is given, don't point out the speck in your brother's eye while ignoring the plank in your own eye. That is all about comparison. That's all about judging. And so God doesn't want you to do that. He realizes that really is like a mind game, a trick that we play on ourselves, and it can cause you to spiral, and it's not good for you, your mental health, whatever. It's not good. So yeah, God he doesn't compare you to anybody else, and he doesn't want you to compare yourself to anyone else.
And that's from either side, as in, like, some people, and I know people like this, that want to point out the speck in other people's eyes.
Yes.
Because it makes them feel better. And then there's some of us that are like, look at how that guy has no specks at all. Gosh, dang it. Why can't I have no specks like him?
Right.
My eye is full of specks. I can't stop picking at them. And either way, unhealthy, and it's something we can all work on depending on which side of this speck debate we're on. And that is something that Jesus wants to work with you on. When you start talking to God and when you hear from him directly that, like, I'm not looking at you versus that other guy, I'm just looking at you and loving you. It's such a relief, and it can bring so much peace to your life. And that can be something that you can have wherever you are today. And all you need to do is say, hey, God, I'm ready for that. I want to find out what that actually means to drop the comparison game and start just looking at myself the way you do, which is through a lens of love. Find out more. Go to RadioU.com/free gift.
Well, in a recent addition to our current space race, if you will, Hudson.
Elon's got a rival.
Yes. I mean, he has several, but
Yeah.
but Honda has entered the chat. The Japanese car manufacturer.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have decided to take space engineering off the road and into space.
All right.
Yeah. So the company launched and landed a prototype reusable rocket, which is kind of SpaceX thing. That's what they started, the whole idea of being able to launch and reuse.
Yep.
They did this on yesterday, marking a key milestone towards its newfound goal of achieving suborbital spaceflight by 2029. This is the quote from their statement that says, Although Honda rocket research is still in the fundamental research phase and no decisions have been made regarding commercialization of these rocket technologies, Honda will continue making progress in the fundamental research with a technology development goal of realizing technological capability to enable a suborbital launch by 2029.
All right. So Elon really does have a rival. They're not just like also going to space. They're doing it, trying to do the exact same thing the SpaceX has been doing of like launching and reusing rockets, which is a completely new thing that SpaceX only recently, I wouldn't even say perfected, but yeah, they made work.
They made it work, made it feasible, because previously we kind of all believed what NASA had been doing for decades, which was use it one time and then it's in the ocean and we can never really use it again. Like we can scrap it for parts and that's about it. But so that is awesome that you're seeing another space company, if you will, even though Honda's, they're not a space company. They're just adding a branch of space in their company. But you're seeing another one try this same concept. I love to see that.
This is going to be really great for their commercials because they do the commercials where it's like our 100 years of engineering and it shows all the different stuff they build because they don't just do cars.
Yeah.
And now they can add literal rockets into that commercial.
I love it.
So this is worth it just for that.
And I mean, come on, we all know this. Honda is a car that lasts forever.
It lasts forever. Great gas mileage. So these rockets are going to be efficient.
They're going to be great.
They're not going to have to stop to refuel as much. That's going to be good. I think Honda getting into the game, it makes a lot of sense. I did see here, is this a typo? It says that the vehicle reached an altitude of 889 feet.
Yes.
That's not a typo.
That's not a typo.
That's not very high.
That's not very high, but
I think I can throw a football that far.
It sounds like it was indoors because it says
What?
it was at a test facility. So I'm like, was it inside? Like,
no chance.
I know. I have no idea. But apparently this is a town in northern Japan, which is known for space research.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, what goes on in this town?
Yeah.
Can I visit this town? I want to go there.
I've never heard of it before.
I haven't either. But no, I would imagine
and you're the space person.
I would imagine it was outdoors. But yeah, that not super high, but that might not have been what they were testing, like how high they could get. They may have just been testing the launch and land part of their rocket.
I mean, it's their first ever rocket thing.
As they said, very, very fundamental research right now. And like they're not getting into what SpaceX has been doing for, several decades at this point.
But they've got if they only made it 889 feet, though, they've got a long way to go.
They do.
Like, they haven't even made it a mile yet.
Yeah. They're very, very, very long way to go. But I think they know that.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
But 2029, ambitious.
Very ambitious.
Ambitious. When so far you've made it a few feet.
I will say though, knowing SpaceX and all of the other space agencies out there and companies that are doing this stuff, those years and dates mean nothing.
Yeah, good point. Tinder is adding a new feature, and this one is sure to make dating a whole lot more interesting. 8772 Radio. The new feature is called Double Date. It's exactly what it sounds like. It involves you and a friend pairing up, and now all of a sudden dating becomes a group project where you and your friend are swiping on other pairs of people, and possibly if one person from each group, each pair, swipes right, then all of a sudden now you can start messaging and set up a double date between the four of you, which I don't know, that could go really well, or this could make it just a whole lot more complicated.
Yeah, this is an entirely new feature in the United States only currently. So it's a beta feature, and it's like a whole dedicated section on the Tinder app that you can opt into. Once inside, you and your pair, or you can also form up to three, a group of three, you'll be able to view other groups of three or other duos and swipe on them. And as you said, one mutual swipe from each group puts you in a group chat together.
Okay.
And that's when you can, I guess, come up with a plan for a double date or a triple date. Because, you can get up to three people in a group.
That sounds a little overwhelming. And definitely to me, I mentioned group project, and I feel like it totally could. You're gonna group project mentality where between the 2 or 3 of you, there's gonna be one that's really into it and like swiping a lot and setting up a bunch of stuff, and then the other person's like
not interested at all.
Just agreed to be a part of it, but didn't really know how into it you were gonna be.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't know, but maybe that's what they need. You know what I mean? Maybe that's just what they need, someone to drag them along to the group. But the other possible situation here, right, is that it's a group date and, everybody agrees to it, but there's definitely 1 out of the 4 or 5 or 6 people that's not as desirable.
Well, what I'm more worried about is like, what if you both, like, let's say you do this with like, you are, so like for me, like, let's say if I did this with another girl who's a friend of mine and we swipe right on a group of guys, 2 guys, but we both like the same guy.
Exactly. Exactly.
What do we do then?
You're both going after the cool guy, but then meanwhile, Melvin's here and like, what's he supposed to do?
Right. What do we do with that?
Yeah. And everybody knows that like the cool guy was just lifting up Melvin in the first, like he was doing this as a favor for Melvin.
I can imagine this would happen with like the group of 3 as well. It would be like
the more people involved, the more likely it is that somebody is definitely the odd man out.
Right. There's like 2 hot guys and they're like, we need to help so-and-so over here get a date. So we're going to help him out by being in his group, even though we're not interested in dating at all. But girls will swipe right on us, and so we'll do it.
Yeah. I just feel like this is almost a recipe for people to get their feelings hurt even more.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be that skeptical of it. This also could be like there's like the individuals that are just really shy, and even though they might be on the dating app, like they just have a hard time in a one-on-one setting kind of getting going, Yeah. And so this is a chance for them where they don't have to give them a nice start.
Yeah. Well, and something I was told when I first started dating, like just dating in general, was like sometimes it's a good thing to hang out with friends first in a group setting. That's kind of like a lower barrier of entry that way, less pressure on the 2 of you, and then see where it goes from there. So I don't think the concept itself is bad as far as like trying to do double dating or triple dating, but I just think the whole swiping on it aspect really can lead to some problems if they're not like sitting right next to each other and communicating like, all right, I'm going for this person, you're going for this person, that it just feels like it's going to cause a lot of confusion.
I would say the range of outcomes of this seem much wider.
Yeah, very broad.
Like you could, on Tinder, like you're swiping right on people and you just get rejected. That's one thing.
Yeah.
But you go on a double date and you're the one left out.
Oh, man.
We mentioned yesterday how Europeans are getting sick of tourists running amok in their cities, in their hot spots. And when you see a story like this, it's easy to see why. An 80-year-old man drove his Mercedes down the actual Spanish Steps in Rome, one of the most iconic features in Rome, which therefore makes it one of the most iconic features in the world. Very historic, also a bit fragile, and he just took a car halfway down them.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, these are the steps where plenty of movies. I'm thinking the Lizzie McGuire movie.
Oh, that's what you're thinking.
Yeah, but also, like, movies have been filmed there. Pictures are taken there and posted on social media when people go on their European vacation and all of that. So, very famous landmark. And this person, I guess, just didn't want to walk down the stairs.
I don't know. Well,
didn't want to walk up them.
You mentioned all the movies that have been filmed there. Maybe he was just trying to recreate a movie.
Is there a movie where someone's driving down? There has to be, right? Like an action movie?
Yeah, like Fast and the Furious or James Bond. I'm pretty sure that definitely happens in James Bond. One of the James Bonds. He drives his car down the Spanish Steps. Maybe like the Italian Job. I don't know. But like this definitely, it sounds like something that if it hasn't been in a movie, it should be. And so this guy was trying to maybe go that route. But that was a route that is you should not be taking, because it's not meant. It's, first of all, it's steps, and you're driving a car. No matter if the steps are significant or historic or not, driving a car down steps, up or down steps, usually a bad idea.
Yeah, usually not going to work out for you. So yeah, he did say, the police did say that he got stuck part the way down. And so they did have to, like, I guess, I don't know, hitch it to some type of...
It says by firefighters with a crane.
With a crane?
Yeah, they had to crane him out of there.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy.
And I know what everyone's thinking, too. No, he wasn't drunk.
He just wanted to just skip the steps.
Either that or he was confused or very lost.
Something.
Maybe it was a Michael Scott GPS situation where he just did what it told him to do.
It's like, this is the way it told me to go.
And it was like, no, these are the walking directions, sir. I don't know. I don't know what happened, but we don't have an answer besides that he wasn't drunk. But the answer is not driving down the Spanish Steps. Don't do that.
Yeah, they don't have any quotes from this driver, so I wish we could get an explanation from him on what his thinking was.
I want to know, but if this is not a scene from a movie, I think now we know that it should be.
Yeah.
A comedy.
A comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you trying to skip the steps. You're like, I have a plan. I don't want to walk up 135 steps, so I'm going to drive them. And then you get stuck.
That would be, yes, that should be done. I have a woman here in India. She filed a police complaint because she lost a couple Instagram followers. Her Instagram followers dropped. But it gets better. The complaint is about her husband. 8772 Radio U. This woman filed a police complaint against her husband because she lost Instagram followers, and she blamed her husband because he was asking her to do work around the house, like chores and things of that nature. And she said that was eating into her time of being able to make reels. She literally said, I didn't get time to make reels. And so that is why this is where the conflict comes from. So now it's like, who do you even side with here?
So she lost literally 2 followers. That's what it says in this article. And so I'm like, how many followers did you have? Did you only have 2 followers? And so this is a devastating blow to your social media.
That would be 100% of your followers.
Right. Maybe that's the only time I would consider this a big deal. And even that is a stretch. But yeah, this story is crazy because not only did she file a complaint against her husband and apparently moved back in with her parents after this fiasco.
Yeah.
But he filed a counter complaint claiming that her social media addiction caused her to neglect her housework. I'm so confused by this.
Yeah, I
get that it's a different country, so like there's probably different, things that are expected of you.
I feel like there's much more expected in marriage in India.
Yeah.
Like it's much more strict,
Maybe much more strict, and also just like the gender roles are a lot more traditional, maybe. But it says, the story gets even more crazy. It says the fallout from this spat has resulted in the husband losing his job.
What? What was his job? What was he doing?
I don't know. But I'm like, how?
I guess he had to spend so much time at home cleaning up. From all the messes she was making when she was posting reels, probably.
Making her reels.
Yeah. What reels was she posting?
Like, he was so devastated after she left to be with her parents after this original fight. Because they said it was a very heated fight, and that's when she left and then filed the complaint like the next day.
The one of the ways you can tell the India is so different from the United States is obviously how this all played out. But if this exact same thing had happened here, this woman would have so many followers now because of this.
Right.
She would become so popular. Or I don't know about popular. She may be infamous, but either way, she would get the followers that she so clearly desperately craves.
Yes, that she wants so badly.
And so even though it sounds like I'm sure the answer is somewhere in the middle, because if she was doing so many reels and not doing any housework at all, that's kind of ridiculous.
Right.
But also, like in our modern American minds, it's the husband going, going, how come you're not doing any housework to the wife also feels off.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the answer is somewhere in the middle. But I think if this took place in the United States, she would she would get what she wanted, even though she's probably in the wrong in some ways.
Yeah, this story in every facet is like so far away from what I understand, like what real life looks like here in the U.S., but also just so insane to me. And it's crazy. Another aspect that's crazy is the police station house officer, whatever that means, that these complaints were filed in, says when the husband presented his side, we stepped in to mediate and the couple were counseled. They offer counseling at police stations in India? That's a thing?
I mean, that sounds good, I guess.
Yeah, but I didn't know that was a thing that they offered. Like marital spats can have counseling?
They clearly needed it.
They needed it, but as I said, the report as of after they were able to resolve this legally is that the couple is still living apart from one another, and the husband lost his job and is reportedly struggling to find a new one.
Wow.
So this could be like devastating to their lives and their marriage.
And the answer is so simple.
What?
Why didn't she just make reels of her cleaning?
I was thinking the same thing. My sister does that and actually is very successful with
putting a lot of crazy colors in your toilet while you're scrubbing, and
the
people will love
rainbow toilet cleaner.
Yeah, you'll get so many followers.
Yes, that's a great thing to do.
The police didn't counsel them the right way, clearly.
Yeah, that would have been the only solution.
Doing Would You Rather Wednesday. Your question today, if you are a kid too, you can answer. Would you rather spend your summer kid rotting, which is, just basically like bed rotting or whatever, just like laying around, doing what you want, not having a lot of anything planned, just left to your own devices.
No real routine.
Yeah, or would you rather have summer camp and a bunch of activities and stuff that you have to go, and a lot of structure and a lot of stuff, again, planned? 8772 Radio U. Let us know your thoughts on today's Would You Rather Wednesday. We'll start with L, who says, kid me would have wanted to rot. Adult me would want kid me to go outside.
Yeah, that's so accurate. Yeah.
I feel like you can still go outside if you're kid rotting, though.
I mean, yeah, I feel like for the most part, kids over the summer will get outside a decent amount, even if they don't have like a regular routine. But certainly now more than ever, there are lots of different things vying for attention.
Yeah.
And a lot of them happen to be indoor activities.
Yeah.
So I feel like it has gotten less and less common to see kids playing outside over the summer.
It's harder to convince yourself to go outside as a kid when you also have a switch to inside.
Yeah, especially if it's like 90 degrees and humid out.
Yep.
Like that's not very comfortable.
And you don't have a pool.
Yeah, like that's not very fun. So, and a lot of the summer, at least for us here in Radio U, Ohio, it's like it gets like that over the summer here.
Dee says, camp at least part of the summer. I loved it so much that now I work at a year-round camp.
Nice.
Yeah, so she really loved camp.
Yeah. I would say I loved camp too. So we also heard from Mike. He said the only thing that was ever planned for me was summer school. So if not summer school, kid rot.
I like it. Logan says, this is nice. Logan says, I like both and I've done both, though I will have to personally say summer camp due to the fact that it shows structure. Since I have ADHD and autism, it makes my days as a kid a lot easier and less stressful.
That makes sense.
And that brings me to something that I was thinking of, like, there's a debate. Like, there's literally a thing that came up in the New York Times is where this question comes from. And I feel like, and it's like, is there a right or wrong answer? I think it depends on the kid, man.
Okay.
I think some kids, they need that structure.
Yeah.
I think some kids need to have time at home to be bored and have
Yeah.
to figure things out for themselves,
Sure.
and use your imagination. So I think it just depends on the person.
Yeah, although I will say, this goes back to what I was talking about with there's so many things vying for attention now, no matter if you're a kid or an adult, that there is less of that aspect of being bored because there's just so many things that you could do at home. So I don't think that is as big of an issue as like maybe it was when we were kids or something, But I personally feel like while there were aspects similar to what Logan said of doing both, I think I would have to go with the plans because growing up, I was outside all of the time growing up in Zambia. And that's just because the weather was nice year round. We didn't really have winter, like what we have here in the United States. So I definitely was outside doing things that were more outdoorsy, maybe not necessarily planned, but I wouldn't define it as kid rotting just because we were outside playing,
I mean, I feel like that, I think the difference is you were just allowed to do what you want, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, my parents didn't like helicopter us. They were just like, go out and play with your friends.
Yeah, they weren't like, you must go to this activity at this planned time and go to this camp for this week and we'll drop you off at this lesson thing for this week. And to me, like some people do need that structure.
Yeah.
I'm definitely the kind of person as a kid, there was things here or there that mom would get us in, but it was, I got to spend a lot of time kid rotting. And what I find is that even if you really like playing your PlayStation or your Switch, eventually you get tired of it.
Yeah, eventually you want to move on.
When you have all that normal school time to play whatever your game is, eventually at some point in the day, you're like, I've had enough.
Yeah.
And I need some sunshine or something, and you want to go play with your neighbors or whatever. So I'm on the kid rot side.
Yeah, I think as I said, I think I did have an outdoorsy childhood, but one that wasn't structured and planned. So it's like a weird in between for me.
Yeah. I think it sounds like you want a kid rot.
Well, I just don't think I was like sitting on the couch watching TV. And that's kind of how I picture kid rot, is sitting on the couch watching TV, you're on your iPad, you're playing a video game. Certainly there were times when I watched TV. When we came here to the U.S., whenever our family would visit the U.S., we watched a lot of TV because we didn't have cable TV in Zambia. So it was like a new experience for us. Like, oh, Hannah Montana, what's this? So that was a totally new thing. But yeah, I think for the most part, it was like outdoor running around like a crazy kid and making mud pies and stuff.
This is a long held stance on the show. The outdoors, fresh air we love.
Ah, so good.
But we also love being lazy and like not having responsibility or being forced to do anything. Get ready. Amazon Prime Day is coming. Or should I say Prime Days, plural, 8772 Radio U. Isn't it crazy? They still call it Prime Day. They already had expanded it to 2 days.
I was going to say, it was 2 days last year, right?
Yeah.
Because it felt like I kept seeing the deals over multiple days.
It's been multiple days since 2017, but they still call it Prime Day.
Since 2017? It's been going on that long?
I didn't even know it's been going on that long, but yeah. Now it's getting even bigger, though.
Oh, boy.
Not necessarily better, but definitely bigger. Prime Day will now last 4 days.
Wow.
Coming up this July. It's not that far away.
No.
It's going to begin at 12:01 a.m. Pacific on July 8th and run all the way through July 11th. Are we excited about Amazon Prime Day /days?
I will say I did get a really good deal on a TV last year when I was wanting to buy one. Yeah. So I do think they have some decent deals, but for the most part, over the years, because I have been an Amazon Prime member, I go by and I look and I'm like, yeah, there's nothing here that I want.
I know. When they like brought it up the first time, I still remember, and it was like, this is going to be the new Black Friday.
Right.
And it so wasn't.
It's not.
So never been that.
Although they're trying to extend it to how Black Friday is getting.
Seriously.
Black Friday is like 2 weeks, like a month at this point of Black Friday deals.
Give it another decade and Prime Day will just roll into It'll start in July and go until Black Friday.
Until Black Friday.
Yeah. I can't say that I've never in the history of Prime Day ever bought anything on one of the Prime Day deals.
Yeah.
It's been few and far between, though, and it's mostly, by and large, stuff that I would have just gotten anyways.
Right.
And so I guess that's good for me because I got maybe a better deal on it, but also, like, it's almost like bad for Amazon because it wasn't like, oh, let me go check out the Prime deals, and I made a bunch of impulse purchases, which I'm sure is what they want, right?
Yes,
they want you to buy a bunch of stuff you wouldn't ordinarily buy in the middle of July.
Yeah, but I feel like the past few years that I've actually paid attention to the deals, I'm like, are these even really deals? You know,
they're not. It's not like Black Friday,
right?
Where like there is legitimate deals on Black Friday. Even if you can hold yourself back or whatever, like you're like, whoa, that actually is a good price on that thing.
Yeah.
I didn't see that on Prime Day.
No, I have not seen that. And I mean, I did feel like I got a decent deal on my TV. I got it for probably about $30 off the regular price. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's nothing that to me rivals the big shopping event that us Americans are used to, which is Black Friday. So yeah, I don't get all excited. I don't have like 25 Amazon packages delivered to my house after Prime Day.
I'm also looking here, and there's literally a thing that says early Prime Day deals are here.
What? Already? Oh my goodness.
What is it? It means nothing. It means
nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
It's just another 4 days in the Amazon calendar where we might buy stuff, we might not.
Right.
We probably will. But we would have probably bought stuff anyways.
Right. And they offer you coupons now all the time. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times you can get these sale prices just on a regular day.
Yeah. I guess what we're saying is Amazon is just too good. The deals they offer regularly are just too good to pass up.
I don't feel like Amazon is too good. I just feel like Amazon is inevitable at this point because it's too convenient.
It is too convenient.
Yeah.
You know what they could do to get maybe things jazzed up? And this is how you know that Prime Day shouldn't be a big deal, is they don't with Black Friday, they put out like flyers ahead of time. It's like, get ready. This thing is going to go on sale on Black Friday, and you can plan ahead. If the Prime Day deals were that exciting, they'd let you know about what they were.
Yeah, what stuff is going on sale.
Yeah, so you could start gearing up. But yeah, I don't think they do that.
I don't think they even know what's going on sale yet.
Yeah, it's just random. It's just the algorithm decides at the moment.
Yep.
For each person. Probably.
Probably.
We're going to open up the RadioU hotline.
877-2-RADIO-U.
You can get in the group chat and let us know what is your most irrational fear, something that you are afraid of that really makes no sense, that is really unlikely to ever happen.
Yep.
But you can't ever stop thinking about it.
I don't know if this is a fear that I can never stop thinking about, but I have one that's like totally irrational, but it's from a movie.
Okay.
And anytime I see the movie, I freak. Like, I freak out at that particular scene.
Well, why don't you just lead us off? Give everybody your example.
Just go ahead and share it?
Yeah.
It's the scarab beetles from The Mummy.
Oh, yeah. Those are creepy.
They get under the skin, and that just freaks me out because it's like the classic scene is the guy pulls up his sleeve, and then he sees it running under his skin on his forearm. Mm-hmm. And that just, it makes my skin literally crawl.
Oh, my gosh.
I hate it. It's so irrational. It can never happen to you, but I just hate that so much.
Never say never.
I mean, yeah, but I feel like you're probably safe.
I think so.
You know?
I mean, it's unlikely.
I'm not planning to go to Egypt,
And it would be a very specific set of circumstances that would lead to that.
to that happening.
Yeah, but I mean, you never know. So, but
I guess.
It seems pretty irrational. Though.
Yeah.
The ratio of time spent worrying about it versus
the possibility
how likely it is definitely off.
Yes.
If you've spent any time worrying about it. 877-2-RADIO-U. Let us know your irrational fears. I know I've got my fair share.
Okay.
Even though I seem so brave and bold. Even I have a few thoughts in the back of my mind. I was like, what if this happens?
Yeah.
Dexter said, I usually check the backseat of my car before I get in because I worry that some sort of Bundy-esque villain is hiding in there.
You said his name was Dexter?
Yeah.
That is hilarious.
I know.
Because Dexter from the show Dexter would do that. He would hide in the back of people's cars.
Yeah, that is, the irony is not lost on me.
No.
But I do that sometimes.
Okay.
But I feel like it's not that irrational because it happened to Mrs. Hudson one time.
Really?
Where it wasn't a Bundy-esque villain. It was just I'm presuming, homeless individual who spilled a milkshake back there. But when he saw that she was getting in the car, he got out of the back seat and ran.
Oh my, that is terrifying.
He was more scared of her than she was of him.
But
I don't know.
Still, that's crazy.
Yeah, but I definitely think about that. But I also always lock my car. So.
Yeah, I always lock my car as well, and I also check the back seat. I just give it a little look-see before I get in. Heard from Jeff, and this one I also had because I know I've shared that one fear that I do have, a phobia that I do have is the gallophobia, which is the fear of sharks. He said he's not sure exactly when this happened, but when he was a kid, he used to be afraid that there was a great white shark in the swimming pool. And I was afraid of the same thing. I don't know why. That makes no sense at all that there would be a great white shark in the swimming pool, but I had the same fear,
The
Jeff.
swimming pool water is so clear. Like if you were in a pond, then I get it, but a creek even. But in a pool, the water should be clear enough you can see that there's no sharks.
This is why it's irrational.
It makes no sense.
It makes no sense, but for whatever reason, I had the same fear, Jeff.
Kyle says that someone will cut my Achilles tendon. I'll never be able to walk again.
Oh.
I have no idea where this came from, but I try to sit cross-legged as much as I can so that my ankles aren't exposed.
I feel like that's like a Saw thing, right? Like the horror movie Saw.
Yeah.
The Achilles gets cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a fun feeling.
Kyle, this is not going to make you feel better, but nobody's going to cut your Achilles tendon. You're just going to accidentally injure it when you're like 45 years old, like Aaron Rodgers.
Exactly. Or who was it? Charles Barkley walking downstairs or something? Or was that the guy from NBC who did that?
Yeah. Was it Ernie Johnson?
No,
I don't know.
I think it was a broadcaster, Mike Tirico, who did it.
Yeah.
Okay, Jesse, he said his irrational fear is Hudson not wearing a hat one morning.
Oh, you don't have to worry about that. You do not have to worry about that.
I love it.
And I've got one more from Dana who says, and this was mine, being framed for murder or any other major crime. I've always had a fear of ending up in the wrong place at the wrong time. Maybe I watch too much TV.
I was going to say, that feels like, you watch a lot of Matlock, because Matlock is always like the wrong person is framed or something.
But I think some of it stems from when Making a Murderer was big on Netflix.
Yeah.
And it was like, I guess now still we don't know. Like, was it really, were they framed or like just improperly accused,
right,
or were they actually guilty? But the whole like idea of being questioned by the police, and I've listened to enough true crime, it's like I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Besides that, say that you want a lawyer, because like I feel like not talking makes you seem suspicious, but then talking, even if you're innocent, also can get you into trouble.
Yeah.
So I just have no idea. So
no way
I
is
am
good.
definitely worried that one day, not even that I'll be framed, just that I'll be questioned in any way for something I had nothing to do with, and all of a sudden I'll be
seen as guilty.
Yeah, because I just won't be cool under pressure.
Well, I will say I've watched a lot of true crime stuff as well, and actually the police are usually, at least now, pretty good at spotting when someone's genuine.
I know,
or not.
but I get so nervous. I feel like I feel like I would say something wrong.
Okay. Heard from Sarah. She said her irrational fear is being in a bus going around a corner and having it tip over.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, yeah. She says she's a missionary and she's been in some pretty sketchy buses on equally sketchy roads in mountains. And she's like, I pray a lot during those times.
That seems actually pretty rational, honestly.
Yeah.
Along those same lines, another one I have is not that this stops me from going on bridges, but that because I've been on really, really long bridges.
That the bridge will collapse?
No, that it will get so windy that it'll blow your car into the wall and off the bridge.
Oh, I feel like a lot of people have the fear that the bridge will collapse while your car is on the bridge.
Yeah, that's never bothered me.
Okay.
Even though that's happened on the news.
Yeah, that has happened. Thanks for listening to the RadioU Podcast. Don't forget to rate and review the show.